Have you ever wondered what becomes of a man who commits every sin you can imagine? A man who drinks without measure, gambles without conscience, and fills his life with forbidden acts. A man who breaks hearts, chases pleasures, and laughs at the warnings of God. Does such a man ever find his way back? Or is he destined for destruction, locked in his darkness forever? The story I will share with you today is not fiction. It is real. It is the story of a man whose life was drenched in sin, whose days were wasted in indulgence, and whose heart was hardened by heedlessness. Yet he became one of the most beloved servants of Allah, one of the most respected scholars, and one of the most remembered saints of Islamic history. His name was Malik ibn Dinar. Malik was not always a man of God. In fact, in his early life, he was the very opposite. Born in Basra, a city alive with trade, laughter, temptations, and distractions, Malik grew up restless. The markets of Basra buzzed with coins and silk, spices and perfumes, but they also carried music, intoxication, and every type of temptation. He did not resist them. He embraced them. Wine became his constant companion, filling his nights with drunkenness. Gambling dens welcomed him as one of their own. He lived for laughter, for pleasure, for moments that numbed the emptiness of his soul. People knew him as a sinner, and he did not care. When others spoke of the Quran, he turned away. When people mentioned the hereafter, he laughed. If anyone tried to warn him, he silenced them with mockery. He was reckless, proud, and lost. Have you ever seen someone like this? Someone who walks through life with no concern for God, no care for accountability, living as if death will never touch them? Malik was one of them, but Allah, in His infinite mercy, places turning points in every life. For Malik, the turning point came through a daughter. He married, and soon he was blessed with a little girl. For the first time in his life, he felt love that was pure. When she giggled, his heart softened. When her tiny hands held his finger, he felt a strange warmth. She became the light in his dark life, the only innocence in his home. Even then, Malik did not abandon his sins. He continued drinking, continued wasting his nights, continued numbing his soul. Yet whenever his daughter looked at him with her innocent eyes, he felt guilt. Something in her presence reminded him of the purity he had abandoned. And yet, instead of changing, he buried that guilt deeper. The day came when that little light was taken away. His daughter fell ill. Her laughter was silenced. Her steps grew weaker. Her small body gave way to sickness. Malik watched as she faded before his eyes. No doctor could save her. No medicine could heal her. And one night, she left this world. Imagine that pain. A man who had poured his fragile sense of meaning into a child, suddenly left with silence. The walls of his home echoed with emptiness. The tiny sandals by the door became unbearable to look at. He had loved her more than he had ever loved anyone. And now, she was gone. And how did Malik respond? Not with patience, not with prayer, not with turning to Allah. Instead, he sank deeper into his sins. He drank more wine than ever before. He spent his nights trying to bury his grief in the very indulgences that had destroyed him. He laughed louder in gatherings, but inside he was collapsing. But grief is a shadow you cannot outrun. You can pour wine over it, drown it in laughter, cover it with distractions, but it remains. Malik's grief grew heavier, and with it his heart grew darker. He was not living anymore, he was simply running. Then came the night that changed everything. After drinking himself into a stupor, Malik collapsed into sleep. In that sleep, his soul was awakened. He saw a dream unlike any dream before. It was the day of judgment. The earth split open, the seas boiled, the skies tore apart. Humanity stood trembling before their creator. The cries of people filled the air. The terror was unlike anything he had ever felt. Malik stood among the masses, shivering, and then from the horizon he saw it. A serpent, enormous, its body coiled like mountains, its fangs dripping poison. Its hiss filled the air, and it was coming for him. It rushed toward him with fury, and terror gripped his heart. He turned and ran. He ran through the multitudes, desperate to escape. But no matter how fast he ran, the serpent followed. Its shadow swallowed him. Its roar shook him. He felt its breath against his skin. He was moments away from destruction. Then ahead of him he saw an old man, frail, weak, barely standing. Hope sparked inside him. He cried out, "Save me! Please help me from this beast." The old man looked at him with sadness and said, "I am too weak to help you. I cannot stop it. Run ahead, perhaps someone else can." Malik's heart sank. He turned and ran again, but the serpent was closer now. It was about to strike, its fangs open wide. Just as despair overcame him, he saw her. A young girl, radiant with light, running toward him. She looked at him with eyes full of love, full of mercy. She reached him, stood between him and the serpent, and with a gesture of her hand, the serpent fled. Malik collapsed, tears streaming down his face. He looked at her, trembling, and whispered, "Who are you?" She smiled and said, "Do you not know me, Father? I am your daughter, the one you lost." His heart broke again, but this time with a new kind of pain. She continued, "Do you know what that serpent was? That was your evil deeds. They had grown so strong they nearly destroyed you. Do you know who that old man was? That was your good deeds. They were so weak they could not save you. But I am your daughter. Your prayers for me, your love for me allowed me to come to your aid." And then she recited the verse. "Has the time not come for those who have believed that their hearts should become humbly submissive at the remembrance of Allah?" Malik awoke in terror. Sweat poured from his body, his heart pounded, his soul trembled. This was no ordinary dream, this was a warning. This was mercy, this was a chance. From that moment, Malik's life turned upside down. The man who once poured wine into cups now poured it into the earth, never to taste it again. The man who once laughed at the Quran now recited it until his voice broke with tears. The man who once wasted his nights in sin now spent them in prayer. He became a man of repentance, a man of worship, a man whose tears did not dry. People in Basra who once whispered about his sins now sat at his feet, listening to his wisdom. He became a scholar, a saint, a man remembered not for his past but for his transformation. Malik would often tell people, "I was once lost, just like you. I was once careless, drowning in sins, but I learned that every sin leaves a scar. Every indulgence steals from your soul, and every moment away from Allah is a moment wasted." He became a reminder that no one is too far gone, that no sinner is beyond mercy. He taught that the Quran is the banquet of Allah, and whoever enters it will find nourishment and light. He taught that the heart becomes sick just as the body does, and its cure is repentance. He taught that blaming yourself for your deeds is the beginning of faith. His story spread far beyond Basra. Scholars repeated it in their circles. Preachers narrated it in their sermons. Poets wrote verses inspired by it. Generations after him, people found hope in his repentance. And even now, centuries later, we remember him not as a man of sin, but as a man of God. And so I ask you, how many of us are running from our own serpents? How many of us bury our emptiness in distractions, in sins and pleasures, only to find the void still there? Malik's story is not just his, it is ours. Each of us has a serpent of deeds chasing us. Each of us has regrets that weigh us down. Each of us has the chance to turn back before it is too late. Repentance is not about guilt. It is about transformation. It is about taking the weight of your past and turning it into the force that drives you back to Allah. Malik's sins did not define him. His repentance did. That is why we remember him as a saint, not as a sinner. So imagine yourself on the day of judgment. Imagine the serpent of your own deeds. Imagine the terror, the regret, the fear. And then imagine Allah's mercy, imagine forgiveness, imagine salvation. Isn't that worth changing for? Malik ibn Dinar's story is proof that no matter how dark your past, the light of Allah can transform you. It is proof that even the heaviest heart can be lifted. And it is proof that every sinner has a future, just as every saint has a past. And so I leave you with this question. What serpent are you running from? And what will it take for you to turn back to Allah before it's too late?